Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you can see, we're running just a little bit late today. Actually, half past the hour, but we still got some time to kind of go through everything here. So, welcome, my people. Welcome to the Naked Truth. Here we are again. It's another episode, another what? Another mission, another journey, another something. Glory be unto the Most High, right? The creator of all things. Honor, blessings, and all the glory and wondrous things unto the Most High. And we have to give thanks, right? Because we're here today and we're existing. And we can see, we can see around us, right? Other people, movements, doing their daily routine, doing their daily duties, doing their daily thing. Everyone is living and existing. So we have to give glory and honor and thanks, right, for life the Most High has given us and the opportunity that we're here to make the best of it. So yeah, give thanks and praises unto the Most High for all things. And here we are again. It's another adventure or another lesson. So we're here and we're going to talk about, as you can see, the title of the program. We're on the 18th. The 18th episode now, or the 18th. Yeah, the 18th episode. Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to get into things and discussing the Bible as usual. That's what we do here on the Naked Truth. And any other kind of, we're trying or we're seeking, right, to validate the information, to make sure everything that we've been absorbing throughout our lifetime, our lifespan, and our ancestors, their lifespan, all that they've been absorbing and what we have been absorbing from them, where did it come from? How did it get to be? What happened? What took place? What was the procedure? What was the intent behind, presenting certain information to them. So this is why we're here, trying to figure out the truth, right? That the liars, put in place. So this is our mission here on the Naked Truth, and we just don't deal with just the Bible. We're dealing with life in a whole, different aspects of life in a whole. So I would definitely need your comments. When you're ready, when you guys are ready, you can leave your comments, ask questions about different things that happen in your life. And let's talk about it. So we're here and we have to give thanks, as I say before, to the Most High. And we're going to get into things because it's all about scripture, and that's what we're trying to clear. We want to clear the air, right? The air, so that people can understand themselves, understand which direction they need to go. Break yourself away from the lies, right? The chains of deception. You understand? So we're here to do just that. It's to give you some enlightenment. So we're talking about last week we spoke about the churches and their role and in upholding the enemy's plot, right? They're upholding it, and this is what the church does. This is what Christianity does. They maintain, right? It's like they're doing maintenance to keep this lie afloat, right? So this lie can continually deceive the Israelites, those who were knowledgeable of themselves until they lost knowledge of themselves, and their children would fall victim to this deception. So this is what Christianity does. The church, the whole system of what we call religion today, that's their purpose, is to keep the Israelites from finding out, who they are. It's to keep them, in darkness, basically. So the lies has been extended. The lies has been pushed to the forefront. And how difficult it is that we would have to go back to try to change. How difficult it would be to even think that it can be changed. Based on how we've been indoctrinated, based on what, we have been taught, and how we should view things within the society where we live. And the standards that's been set, that people think within that box, and you cannot think outside of it, because if you do, then everybody that's been programmed with the information within this box, they would think that you're crazy, you don't have any sense, because it doesn't align with what they know. But because it doesn't align with the recipe, with the program, with the information that they were programmed with, if this new information doesn't align with what they think is standard, then they would objectify this. It wouldn't be right at all. Right? So we talk about the Bible, we talk about many different things, and we talk about the Israelites and their history. The Bible, or what we call Bible, which is in Greek, the book, right? And then they had the Holy to it, we say it's the Holy Book. But, let's talk about the scrolls, the Israelites and their experiences, throughout, different dispensation in time, where they lived, their culture, what they did, how they did certain things. Let's talk about that. Let's highlight those things, because it's very important to know who the Israelites are, even though the world today is trying to hide them, so that people, or those who are in power, the history of this book would reflect them. But it's impossible for the prophecies and the things within this book to reflect someone that don't belong in that history, or specific history, right? So they're not involved in this book, right? So let's just solidify this for a minute, because I want you guys to know the Israelites are who they are. And when you know this, then you'll understand what's going on. Right? So let's go to let's see. Let me give you a scripture where we're gonna go to. So if we go to Amos 3 verse 1, right? And when we talk, as every time we talk about the Creator, every living being feel as if they're inclusive to this. Now, you have to understand that the Most High created man, right? And there were those who were willing to be obedient to him, and those who rejected him, those who chose the other side. So there's another side that they chose because they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to follow his guideline. They said, well, so whoever compromised, the other groups, right, and deceive them and have them thinking that this is better, and they chose that. And when they chose it and they did the wrong things and they realized that it was wrong, they continue to do the wrong. It becomes a fruit. You understand? It becomes fruit for their spirit. So they continue in their wrongs and they never change. They never want to change. They embody the lies and they tell themselves that this is what it is. It benefits them more to live wickedly with each other. And, that's basically what it is. So they don't care. They do not care. Right? So we have to understand when the Most High speak about Israel, he's talking about out of the people, the abundance of people that are here, right? Out of the many people or the many nations that are here, there was one person among the people that were chosen, because the Most High would have searched the hearts of everyone that were living on the planet and found that these people, even they will speak good things with their mouth, but their hearts is not with him. So he chose one person, and out of this one person say, okay, I'm going to chose this person and his seed, I'm going to accept them. This has nothing to do with the other group of people. The other group outside of Israel, right, were never considered by the Most High. If they were considered, it would have been in the beginning when he was searching the hearts of men to see who was qualified enough, right, for him to say, well, okay, this is my people, I'm their God, and they're my people, they're my children, and I'm their father, right? Now you have to understand within the time when the Most High would have, searched the hearts of men, everyone find comfort within their own desires. They found comfort because they wanted to. Now, they knew that they didn't make themselves, right? They hadn't the power to make themselves. Neither have they found anyone on the earth who had the power to make themselves, right? But these people went in their imaginations and begin to think how it must be a God, but who? They don't know, because they wouldn't accept the real God, so they created what you call idols. They begin to create things out of their own imagination, saying, well, this is God to me. And they would serve those gods and they would worship them and they would sacrifice to them and all kinds of things. But the God of creation, the God that created all things, all ideas, thoughts, and everything, they rejected him. Hello, welcome. So they rejected the Most High that created all things, and they wanted to satisfy themselves with their own imagination, what they think is right for them. Remember, they didn't want to be obedient to the Most High. They didn't want to follow him. Their arts, their mind, they all went astray. They all did what they wanted to do out of their own, thoughts and thinking, just to suit themselves, right? So if we go to, and this is why when people get a hold of this book and they read or studied and they've been misinformed by a lot of things here, because as I said, not everything here is factual, right? So when people get this book, the first thing in their mind, based on their religious attachment, they begin to search or seek evidence that would support what they already believe is good for them, which is their religions, right? And being a part of a group where they think, okay, this is how everything, as I said, standard. Once everything becomes the standards, right, within a society that you've been taught this way, you believe that this is how it is and it cannot be any other way. And if someone else comes with information, right, that counteract what you know, then this person is crazy. He have to be crazy, couldn't be sane at all, because nothing he's saying go along with what we know, what my great-grandmother know, what my great-grandfather and their fathers and fathers before them know. It means you're not saying, you're not going with, the rules, or you're not following the rules of society. You're following your own rules, or you're creating your own truth outside. Little do they know, right, that these ideas and the construct of societies was done by men. It wasn't done by the Creator himself. Men decided that they wanted to form their own society and be rulers over people, right? They wanted to do that, so they established laws, not the laws of the Most High, as you know within Israel, that the laws of the Most High was always there in Israel. The laws of the Most High was always there, so he governed his people with his laws, because he is their creator, he's their God, so he gave them laws. Now, the other nations would have not done so, right? They would create their own laws because they felt within themselves that they were superior and they were strong enough to rule their people, and they know what was good for their people within their society. So they create their own laws, right? So when we talk about being inclusive, right, and everybody have this concept that they are inclusive to this history, right, within the book. That's far from the truth. They're not all inclusive to this, because you have to go back to the origin to understand the story, to understand what took place and how this information even got into the hands of the other nation. Because all along, as you read in the book, the Most High explained that there was a people that he chose above the other nation. Okay? So let's get some more concrete evidence for you guys to let you see that not everyone, right, is inclusive to this information, right, or to what this is saying. This history is based on a group of people, a people that become nations later on, right? And the Most High established them, gave them land to live where they needed to live, laws that they needed to follow, and he said, listen, because I gave you these laws, these statutes and commandments, if you transgress these laws, I'm going to punish you for them. Okay? You'll be punished because I'm regulating my rules to you. As other society outside, as they put their laws in place, and anybody who broke their laws will be punished by that, right? In New York, the law, you can't run a red light, right? If you do, what's going to happen? It's going to cost you, right? It's either you lose your license, right? Because that's a moving violation in some states, right? You lose your license, right? If you hit someone on the street and you didn't stop, what's going to happen? You get charged for manslaughter, right? Hit and run. So you have men have their own laws that they set for their society and the people that they govern. And if the people within the society broke those laws, what happened to them? They have to be punished for it. If you kill someone within a society that the law states that you're not supposed to kill, right? And you do so, what's going to happen? You're going to go to jail. You're going to be punished for it, right? Because of what? You're living in that society where the law states that they do not condone murder, right? So if you murder someone, then what's going to happen? You'll have to pay for that. So when the Most High chose his people, he set laws for them. And he told them that, okay, I'm your God, you're my people. If you disobey my laws, I'm going to punish you as well. This is why Israel, as a nation, a people, always, right, got punished whenever they transgressed the law. They were kicked out. They were scattered among the nations, and the nation treat them because this would be their punishment, right? He would put them in the hands of their enemies so that their enemies would slaughter, murdered, whatever horrible things you can think about will happen to them because they transgress the law. That's the punishment for Israel. The other nation who form their own society, who become leaders of themselves, right? They have law among themselves to govern the society that they create for themselves, not the one that the Most High create for them. The Most High gave Israel land, right? And gave them laws on how to live and to govern themselves. And it was a righteous society, the only righteous society that you would ever know in the whole entire planet, which is the society of where the Israelites live, right? Even though they faltered at times, they faltered. A lot of times they went down the wrong path, or they tried to go after what the enemies, the strangers did. They wanted to do what the other nation did, right? And because of that, they transgressed, and then they had to pay for it. So when the Most High made his choice to choose Israel, it's not inclusive to the other groups of people. Because sometimes when we read the scriptures, we think because the Most High is the creator of all things, that, he have some personal relationship with all of us. No. He created men, gave them dominion, right? And men have to choose out of their, within their own righteousness or kindness, right? To understand who the Most High is and understand why, you're here and exist, and who put you here. You understand? And you have to honor that person. You have to show love and respect and honor to that person. The other nations went after idols. They decided to make stones and however their imagination led them, cow, donkey, whatever it was, they wanted to pray, whatever, show any signs that it would be, oh, this would be something above the other creatures, or they would just say, okay, this would be God. The sun God, the moon God, all kind of crazy stuff. So these other nations have their own ideas, right? And who they call their God, right? Until Christianity, right, in the early centuries, is the ones who push this idea, right? After they stole the scrolls, after they invaded and the Romans invaded and murdered the people in Jerusalem, they took everything, all the spoils, and what they did with these spoils, they claim it for themselves. And this is where the translation begin. They translate the information and they want to use it, right, as a standard for themselves, right, incorporating their paganistic thing inside of it, right? So when you read this, it's a lot of conflict when you read the book. If you do study the whole book, you'll see that for yourself, right? So the Most High, the other groups and the other people, to how they may think today, right? And this is why they have you have the different denomination, right? And you have different branches of what you call this religion. It's supposed to be one, right? Somebody's saying Allah, somebody's saying another thing, somebody's saying another thing. None of this makes sense. All of it is confusion, but everybody have their own idea of what they think the Most High is. The Israelites were the only one that he dealt with and gave them laws, statutes, and commandments. Everybody else is following this and taking information, copying this into their own, adding to it what they think is best for their people. So basically, they're taking the history of the Israelites, right? And they're utilizing this history to support their own belief system, right? Hence saying that this is God, but they have not, or have they ever had an encounter with the Creator himself? Only Israel alone had an encounter with their God. The other nation have not had an encounter with their gods. Their gods are stones and all kind of different crazy stuff. So when they copy this information and try to twist it within their own imagination, right? What they expect or what they want the truth to be to them, right? But they don't know the Creator himself. None of them know. They can't pray. You think I'm lying to you? When did or which church do you know of all the millions of churches that exist on the planet? Which one of them do you know that your mother, father, whoever sick and you could bring them there and heal them? None. They don't have the ability to do it because they're not, right? They're not God's people. You can't be God's people. You understand me? And you don't have the understanding of how to heal someone, right? Going back into the truth of yourself, I'm talking about the Israelites who's been scattered. And this is why it's important that when these people wake up, all things are everything that you know today is going to change. Because they are the prophets, the priests, they are the healers. Everything that you read about in this book, it's pertaining to those people. And because they're not in power, these miracles that you're seeking or looking for, you'll never see them. None of them. Right? Yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Right? So you won't see the miracles, you won't see the things that, Joshua commanded the sun to stood still, these type of things, Samson, you won't see these things because the people of this book are scattered among the nation. They've been punished because they transgressed the law. And the Most High, they're under punishment for years now. When they get back into this truth, right, then they will wake up. And when they do wake up, everything is going to change. You won't see any prophets, any priest, anywhere, until when these people come back to their senses. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have not seen any churches who claim that they worshiping the Most High and the God of creation and salvation. None of them can perform any healing ceremony at all, right? None of them can raise the dead. None of them could command the sun to stood still. Even during the pandemic, the church was the first that closed. They were afraid to die, and they're supposed to be prophets, so-called, right, of the Most High. They were hiding themselves from death. They was afraid. The church was supposed to be the strong or the strength, right, of the community during those difficult times, right, where people could go there and get healed from whatever this disease was. There was no church open. All of them closed. Did you get what I'm saying? They were in fear of their own lives. These people who say they're godly, righteousness, they were righteous, and they have the ability to communicate with the Creator, as the pastors will go up there and blaspheme every Sunday, Thursday, Saturday, whenever time, saying that they had conversation with God, and how they didn't have any during the time of crisis to change or to save their people. And people died, right? Lots of people died, right? Which one of the church went out and any dead were they able to were they able to raise the dead? Were any of them able to raise the amount of people that died? Were any of them on the main stage saying that, listen, God is with us and we're going to pray and heal? Because they can't. All their prayers are in vain because the Most High do not know them. You don't believe me? That he don't know them? Okay. Let's go to Amos 3 verse 1 then. And let's just take a look at that, right? Because we have to find, and we have to find the truth, right? We need to find the truth, right? In order for us to free ourselves from this mental prison, right? Or from their lies and deceptions. We need to free ourselves, right? So let me pull it up here. All right, we need to free ourselves. In doing so, we need to understand what the truth is. See, we can't just assume things, right? We need to know what the truth is, right? And as I said, we speak about inclusion because we all want to say that we're God's children, which we all are. But there are some of us that the Most High don't recognize or accept because of our sins and because of the wicked intentions that we have inside. We're not accepted by him, and he's not going to accept us because of those things. Do you understand me? We've been looked down upon as evil and wicked people. And he cast us, even his own people that he chose, he cast them out for punishment. What would he do to the other groups? But yet we try to deny and we try to lie, even in the face of the truth. We lied just to be accepted, just to say. But there is no proof. There is no proof that any of the churches reading this book could say that, yes, we are actually the children of the Most High. If they were serving God, you would have seen these miracles happen. None of them happen. You'd have seen, even with Islam, you would have seen the very same thing happen, right? Islam, they say they're the children of the Most High. And let me tell you something. Islam, they're the most devoted. Do you understand? They're the most devoted. And when the Israelites are devoted, according to scriptures, right? When they are devoted and serving the Most High, nothing can compromise them. Yet we see mosques get shot up, bombed up, all kinds of things, and we see people attack the church. Do you think if these people were serving the Creator that they would be compromised by demons or wicked people? They could not. People during the time of the Israelite reign, they were afraid of them. Nations were afraid of them. They wouldn't dare try it. And if they did, they would have get killed, right? Just to show you that the Most High was with these people. No one could just come in the night and just kill everybody. The only time this would happen is when Israel transgressed the law. And the Most High said he's going to bring the outside nation to punish them. Their punishment comes from the people outside, and the people outside are considered to be their enemies, right? So We're going to read Amos 3, verse 1, right? We're going to read that. Try to get some clarity, bring some clarity to this. So you want proof? We're going to give you proof so that you understand that the other groups and the other people were not a part of what the Israelites were a part of. And this is why only the Israelites were scattered among the nation. You hear that? Among the nation, that means there's a group of people that were scattered among another group of people, or a larger group of people, right? So if everyone was Israelites and everyone was inclusive, then who are these people that's been scattered among these people, and who would these people be that the people of the Most High had been scattered among them? If all the entire inhabitants of the earth are the children of Israel, are accepted as Israelites? No. There are groups, nation, that was chosen out of those people. So let's shine some light on that, right? So we're talking about Amos 3, verse 1. Okay. Okay, so let's go to Amos 3. Hear this word that the Lord had spoken against you, O children of Israel, right? Against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, do you hear what I'm saying to you? The whole family. As I said before in previous videos, that the Israelites are family members. All of them are relatives. They're connected by blood. So you have to be an Israelite for you to get certain privilege, certain opportunity. It would be like what you call today the royal family. You just can't go and say you're one of the royal family because you are. No, you have to connect. You have to be connected by blood. This is how you can claim that, right? This is how the Israelites are. Their blood is their identity. This is why what connects them and make them who they are. The Most High know who they are by blood, right? Which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities, right? Or iniquities, right? Now you understand what I'm saying to you? You only have I known of all the families, right? Here they say families, other groups of people outside, other nations outside. Israelites, they are family members. Auntie, uncle, cousin, nephew, niece, whatever. They are family members, and they multiply and they become what they are today, and they split up in groups. But all of them are Israelites, right? You have I known of all the families. He didn't say that I know all the other families, or I had an interaction with the other families. Only you have I known. Ye have chosen among them, right? And I'm sure that the Most High has his reasons why he would have chosen Israel, right, out of the other groups of people, because he would have searched the hearts of men. The Most High would be fear within his, right, within his judgment. So he would have searched to see who was worthy enough, for him to choose to say, well, these are the people I'm going to use, to carry my law, to teach my laws, and to serve me, and to be my people, and I'll be their God. God, that's what it's about. Being his people, and he being our God. And that's the whole thing. You understand? So not everyone is inclusive to the idea of what you've been indoctrinated with. You've been taught a certain way, that the standard and what society has standardized for you is to make you think that this is what everything is. Outside of that, there's a whole different road of understanding. You have to understand this. Today topic we're talking about the Bible, and we're trying to let people understand who the Israelites are. Whoever whoever the people are out there who don't know, and those of you out there who don't want to know who they are, because if you don't, or if you're not getting benefits, then you don't care about anybody else. It's all self greed and self worth, and so we're here to kind of break this mold and let the people out there, right, or the Israelites, the chosen people of the Most High, to understand themselves and to wake up, and the other nations outside to understood who the Israelites are, because part of the end time prophecy, right, or the end time prophecy itself is with these people, right? So you have to get a clear understanding. You understand? We have to get a clear understanding of who the people are, right? Because they've been all deceived. You've been all deceived, as I spoke about last week. So even the elect themselves will be deceived by this. Now, we know what it is when we talk about the Antichrist and what took place and who's the Antichrist today. And people believe that the Antichrist is coming, and some demonic looking, from the imagination of men in their movies with horns and all kind of different crazy stuff. And this thing is going to come and it's going to rule the earth for a while. It's ruling the earth already. It's here already. Do you understand me? You've been deceived already, thinking that there's a time come that you're going to escape, when you already been deceived. You already been cast into sin. You already been living among the wicked, doing the deeds of the wicked. You already been doing that. There is no other change coming than when the Messiah return and the Israelites are waking, right? That's what's going to happen in the last days. The Antichrist is already here. The doctrine of the Antichrist, right? The mark of the beast is already here. Now, you probably think that the mark is going to be something, a literal mark in your forehead or whatever it is. It's the doctrine, the teaching of this thing. And we know what Christianity is. You understand me? The Christians today are the prophets. And I'm using the term prophets, right? They are the prophets of the Antichrist, right? They are the teachers and the deceivers and the deceptors of this individual, or the system, or the idea of what this individual is, or the concept of what this is. They are the ones who are going around and trying to recruit you and get you to be a part of what that is. The world have been deceived by this. I'm not lying. Go to the church and tell me what you see. You see a cross with a white guy hanging up there, and that's who the Antichrist is. And the angels, you saw them yourselves, white angels and young baby angels, and people have these things as amulets, pendants wearing on their necks. This is important to them, right? Very important to them. And all of these things are symbol, right? Graven image that the Most High spoke about that Israel should not partake in, right? And it's a representation of what these churches are and religious things are. So they have these things. So you have to know who the Israelites are. And as I said, you're not all inclusive to it. You need to know your place and your position. Your ancestors lied to you. They didn't tell you the truth about what took place or what happened. For them to maintain and to rule the world today, they had to lie. It's not rule with righteousness. Have you seen any society today ruled with righteousness? Because it's not ruling with righteousness. Men has to become liars and deceive people in order to have the trust, or have people trusting them. You understand? They have to lie because they're no longer depending on the Most High. They don't know how to, because they have never had a relationship, as I just read to you right? In Amos 3, verse 1. I've just read it to you. Only you of all the families of the earth, right, that I have known. He only had known the Israelites. He didn't know anyone else, right? And I mean, even when he chose them, he said they were a peculiar people to him, to himself. He chose them above all nation. Again, you have all, the overwhelming evidence that shows you who these people are. Now, you can say, oh, well, I'm here on the earth. I am here too. We all are here. How did we get here? Because the Most High, the Creator, the one who created all things, put us here, right? But not because we were created by Him, right? And with the freedom that we have gotten from Him, that many of us would have looked back and said, well, He put me here and I'm grateful that I'm existing here. No, these men find, joy within their own selves and their own doings. And they ignore in their hearts. They didn't seek to find Him. They never seek to find Him, right? Even within their imagination, they seek to do other things, right? And establish other things and try to deify those things and saying that that's their God. Do you get what I'm saying? So in their hearts, nothing is there for the Most High, the Creator Himself who created all. So we all are here. We can say it. We can certainly say that, right? And we can say the term God, because that's just a title. That's not the name of the Creator Himself. So we can say the word God or the term God, right? What does it mean? It's just a title. Lord is just a title, right? So these things are title. King is just a title. Doctor is just a title. But what is the name of the doctor, right? So these titles are good. We could say, oh, you're a doctor. You can call yourself a doctor, right? You can say whatever you want, right? But these are titles, right? So the Most High, people can always say God, 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 God. What does that mean? Right? What does that mean? God, God, God. God could be anything. Said that we're gods of the earth, right? What does that mean? Does it mean that we have the ability? Does it mean we have the power to create life? Does it mean that we have the power to give life? No. It's just a title. That's all it is. A title, my friends. So the Most High would have known the hearts of men and know who would have, with the freedom that was given, who would have looked behind them and said, you know what? The Most High put me here. I want to know more about Him. I want to know how I got here, who put me here. The other nation decided that they want to have parties, they want to sacrifice, they want to do everything that is fun for them. Their happiness is based on fulfilling their desire, right? So they want to dance, they want to celebrate and all kinds of other things. They want to, listen, they don't want to have restriction and nothing, right? If they want to date men, they want to do that, right? If they want to, date women, they want to do that. If they want to sleep with animals, they want to do that. They don't want no laws, nothing to hinder them from doing what they want to do, are expressing the freedom within their own selves, right? So Amos 3 verse 1, you can read that just to get an understanding, right? That not everyone is inclusive to this. When you say this, people feel offended by this. Like, oh, why the Most High would put you here? Why would you create what you call why would you invent something? I don't want to say create. Why would you invent something, right? And you make probably 3-4 of them, and you are the inventor, right? And you know what it's supposed to be like. Now, other people outside may think that, oh, it's okay, it's good, but you know that it's not good. See, the person that's inventing it know all the details in and out, know what it's supposed to be like, how it's supposed to function. So someone who don't know that would think that just looking from the outside, oh no, but it looks good, but, and you're telling them as the creator, like, no, it doesn't look good to me, it's not good, because I know. I'm the one who putting this together, not you. I know what it's supposed to be. So if the person said, okay, I don't like this, and destroy it, it means that he don't like it. Maybe you'd be offended outside looking, thinking, why would he destroy this? It was so perfect. To you, it's perfect. In your eyes, it's perfect. But to the person who created, it's not. So the Most High, can make his choice based upon the same concept men would think within themselves, how they think, right? How they would think about life, how they would think about him within their own, goodness. If they have any ounce of that within their own goodness, how do they, analyze who the creator is? Every living being supposed to have that connection. But the choice, the freedom to think, right? Right? Give us the ability to either we're going to go left, we're going to go right, we're going to do wrong, we're going to do right. These things come in play. And some people find more glory in doing wrong, right? In doing the wrong things than doing the right things. They think doing the right things limits, right, their desire, right? It limits their desire. They don't want to be limited. They want to have everything that they want. Oh, why it's here if I cannot heat it, right? Why is it here if I cannot do this with it? Why does it exist if I cannot? And these are the people who don't have a foundation in the Most High, right? So they think like this. The other nations outside would have thought this way, because you have seen it today in our time, right? You have seen it in our time, which we live today. There is no society out there that embodies the laws, statutes, and commandments in their country and saying that this is the standard law for our country because we love the Most High. No, these men create laws, right, that suits themselves, not the Most High. Even they try to use the Bible and use the information, but this is not their history. So how could they commit to this? They can't. They would never commit to it. Look, you go around the world today and tell me which society do you know that you have to abide by the laws, statutes, and commandment. There is none, because the people of the Most High, the children of Israel, are no longer in a ruling position because they transgressed the law and they were kicked out. So they're scattered among the nations. They have been punished for what they did. So you won't find any other country who would use these laws, statutes, and commandments in their society, right? As a guideline, right? They would not do that. None of them, but they will speak about God, right? But what's more important to them? Oh, protecting their borders, right? They protecting they're not asking the Creator for protection, right? They want to do it themselves. They want to set laws that if you touch a woman or you rape a woman, you go to prison. If you do something out of the character, what they think is right or deem right to them, you should be arrested, tossed in prison. If you break into someone's store, if you do certain things, you understand what I'm saying? They create their own law for their own selves, right? So you go back to Amos 3, verse 1, right? Hear this word that the Lord had spoken against you, O children of Israel, right? He's being specific now. He's not saying, oh, the inhabitants of the earth, the children of Israel, we know who they are. O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, right? Against the whole family, everybody that are family members of the Israelites, he's talking to them. You only have I known of all the families, right, of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Right? They will be punished. Whatever they transgress the law, do anything wrong, he's going to punish them. I mean, we could go back in time as far as we want to go. We're talking about the Babylonian captivity, Persian, Grecian captivity. I mean, so many different encounters they have went through among different nations. They've been scattered. They've been killed because they transgressed. Every time they did something wrong, Samson had to deliver them at one point, right? David had to defeat Goliath at one point. I mean, all of these things happen, but there's always a champion that he sent. Once they get back to themselves and get back to the law, statutes, and command, what he did, he's coming to deliver them. So this is why I'm showing you today within the religions, in the religious scope, right? Or the religious space that you know today, there is no prophets. There is none among the religious people today that can heal anyone. Not one single person that you're going to find that can bring the dead back to life or make the blind see or pray for the sick to be healed. None of them you will see. None of them. All of them is fabricated, and they trying to deceive people and have people acting and performing all kind of nonsense. Listen, there is none. You have known any church that anybody on the whole entire planet knows say, yo, these people, they could heal you. You're sick, you go there, you go line up in line for days because you want to see this person because they are that good. There is none. The most devoted set of people are religious people, are Islam. And they, right, they are going to conflict within their own country. They cannot pray to stop the conflict in their own country. I'm only telling you because they within themselves and their religion believe that their God, right, is mighty, right, are mightier than any other God, but their God won't stop nothing that's happening to them because they cannot communicate with the true God of creation. Only the Israelites are capable of doing so, and they cannot do it now because they're scattered among the nation. They're in captivity. None of them can't heal us. Not one. How many church sisters you know who died from cancer and all kinds of different diseases, who high blood pressure, heart failure, and the church brothers and sisters, when they're in the hospital, first of all, you wouldn't think about hospital, right? When you have this connection with the Creator himself, you would not be thinking about hospital, going to an hospital for getting healed. When the church members are that powerful, they could talk to the Most High, communicate with the angels, right? And say things and heal their brothers and sisters. Have you seen this happen anywhere at all? Never happened. Never. So why I'm saying this to you is for you to understand that the people who claim, right, and using this replacement theology idea, they're not the children of the Most High. Maybe some of them are and don't know themselves, but they're following a different practice, right? And this religion, what they're following, called Christianity, has nothing to do with the Most High himself. It has nothing to do with the Creator. The Most High didn't put groups here to be religious. He put one group, as I just read to you in Amos 3 verse 1. Of all the families of the earth, I only know you. He didn't know anyone else. When he chose them, again, he only knew them, not the other nation. And we could go on and on. And still, even when you say these things and bring these truth to the light, people still have doubts in their minds, right? There is not one church, not one. Any of you in the comment, have you found a church that can heal you? Heal your sick mother, your sick brother, your sick sister, your sister who can't walk, who's crippled, who's been blind since they were born. Have you met any church or any church that you have gone to? They cannot, because they cannot communicate with the Creator himself, right? They have nothing to do with the Creator. The Creator has nothing to do with them. Do you understand me? Their God is Jesus, right? Their believer and Savior is Jesus. Jesus has nothing to do with the Creator himself, right? Who is Jesus? I don't know, but he's not the Messiah. And I'm using the term Messiah because our brothers and sisters are the Savior. Let's say the Savior of Israel. He's not the Savior of Israel. Jesus is not the Savior of Israel or of the Israelites. So I want to be very clear. People would think whatever they want. And as I said, a lot of you won't agree with this. Why you wouldn't agree with it? Because if you grew up, right? If you grew up in a society where, say, dog, right? Dog was the meat of choice. Instead of chicken, it was dog. Everybody would be eating that, right? You grew up eating it. Nobody could tell you that something was wrong with eating dog meat, right? No. You would find a way to defend it. You would tell them, no, my mother, grandfather, everybody ate this, nothing happened to them. It is good to eat. You would defend it. You would believe it because you grew up eating it, right? Now, if somebody just come telling you, this is wrong, you would debate with them night and day, telling them, no, couldn't be wrong. I'm eating this for many, 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 many years. It's impossible for it to be wrong. Why? Because you're programmed that way. You grew up in a society where everybody's doing the same thing and you just follow along. And because the majority is doing it, it has to be right. This is why a lot of you, if I say something about Christianity, it will offend a lot of people. They will say, oh, what? God, this and God. What have you done? Can you show me anywhere? Evidence. Show me any evidence anywhere of any church that you know have the capability of healing anyone. No, there is none. Or any nation of people, right, that are established today and claim that they're Israelites, can they command the sun to stop or stood still? No. Can they stop the atrocity that is happening in their own country? No. It means it's impossible that those people could claim that they are the children of the Most High. The reason why Israel will cast out because they transgress the law. Now, if they fall back into the law, the book tells you that he's going to deliver them. He's going to come for them, as all the captivities that you've read about. When the Philistine was oppressing the Israelites, right? And they prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. They say, okay, he listened to them. Why? They found their way back. They prayed unto the Most High. What did he do? He said, okay, you're going to bear a child. Just think about that for a second. You're going to bear a child. You should not shave or cut his hair, right? Or put anything upon it. You should not cut his hair, right? And you shall call his name. And I'm using the term Samson, but that's not his name really. But so just for you to understand where the story is coming from, right? You shall not cut his hair, right? And this person is going to deliver you. So pay attention to this. This child would have born, right? And he would have grown up, do whatever he did as a child, and he would have probably reached in his 20. So let's say 20 years. So let's say 20. When Samson was 20, this is when, so 20 years. Do you understand how long that would be, right? 20 years of oppression. Before he came, how long were they oppressed? And after he came, he didn't deliver them right away. He had to become an adult first, right? So we're talking 20 years, maybe 19 or 18 years. You have to wait again before this person decides, okay, no, it's time for me to act. It's time for me now to act and delete the enemy. So over 20 years, right? If not, I'm just saying 20. But just the concept of how all of this took place, that there was a promise that you would bear a child and you should call him Samson. You should not put a razor up on his head, right? And then you have to wait for this baby to born, right? To be born. And it has to go through all the process that a human child has to go through, right? It has to become stronger. It has to be nurtured by the mother, the parents. It had to grow up, learn whatever needed to be learned from the family members, from the community, right? Right? Orally or however way. And then it has to mature into what's going to happen next. Right? Reach to the age where, okay, now I understand what's happening to my people. I will deliver them now. It wasn't somebody just born and he was 20 years of age or 40 years of age or 30 years of age. No, it's a process. The Most High work His work is in a process, not the overnight what you think. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This was what happened when they were in Philistia, right? And Samson killed all. He had to go out because that was his job. He came to do that. You know, you have some scholars, they read the Bible, oh, why would he go out just to go mess with them so he'd have killed? Because that's why he came. He came to destroy the enemies of the Israelites. Doesn't matter. He has to go out to tempt them or to do things or create problems so they could fight him so he could kill them. He came there to kill them, not to be friends with them, not to pardon them, but to destroy them. Do you understand? And he killed them all. You know what I mean? So we have to be, you know, self-conscious of what's happening, especially when we're dealing with the truth about this book, man. We can't sit down and we play games. Now, let me get to a question here. So Christ told us to love our enemies and do good to those who hate. Enemies are dangerous. How should one show them love and be good to them? Well, good question. And this is why, this is the reason why we have this program here. And this is why we're talking about finding out the truth, right? Whether this book is completely the word of the Creator himself, or there are histories and there are people, political interests and things and enemies who took the scrolls and put their own doctrine in it or write their own ideas into it. This is why we get back to this very book. And this is what we're trying to let people understand, right? To clear it up, right? As the question is, how could you love your enemy? What are you talking about, love your enemy? Right? How do you love your enemy and don't do anything? There are many things that the scripture was changed to support the wickedness that were done to the Israelites, what was happening to them at the time, and using this book to justify their actions, right? And these people who have translated the information changed the narrative to support the wickedness that was happening to these people, is to keep these people thinking that, okay, you have done wrong, you deserve punishment, don't look to us. So they would have go against the scripture, as they would say in the last chapter 22:9 in Revelation, when they talk about, you know, nothing must be added or taken away from the scripture. Whoever did it, will do it, does it, will get punished, whatever. All lies, while they're the one who's been changing the scripture. You get what I'm saying to you? So you can't love your enemy. Who's the Israelite enemy? Our enemy is the people outside. The Most High said he's going to deliver Israel and destroy their enemies. So which enemies are they supposed to love? When they went in the land of Canaan, what did they do? They kill everyone. Babies, right? Adults, teenagers, whoever existed there at the time, and animals. Everyone. So who is the enemy? Which enemy was it supposed to be loved? So this is completely contradicting to what the book is saying, or some of the history has been saying all along. So all of these things, what they're talking about, love our enemies, you have to dismiss these foolish ideas, because when you read the book in its entirety, you understand what's taking place and who is trying to change the story to make it something else. You can't. It's impossible, right? It's like you as a parent in your household telling your kids, right, not to fight each other. Just think about that for a second, right? Don't fight each other. And then later on, right, maybe 2-3 years ago, you're telling them again to, oh, you know what? Fight each other. It's okay to fight each other. But you tell them before not to fight, and then you tell them no to fight. Wouldn't that be something, you know, wouldn't it be something real, or a person wouldn't be mentally stable to even give such statements saying, well, oh, don't fight, and then 2 years you're telling them to fight again? It doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense. Why it wouldn't make sense? Because someone is lying, right? And we know that it's not the same individual as I'm using you as a parent in the home as an example. But the people that write this information would have never said that, right? When they know their enemies hated them and their enemies want them dead. How are you going to love them? He said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Why these words were said, to love your neighbor and as you love yourself? Because your neighbor is the person that lives close to you in your same community, right? He would have been family members to you, because they're talking about the Israel. No, they're not talking about Europe, China, Greece, or other place. They're talking about the Israelites and where they live. Whoever they were comprised, that's what they're talking about. You love your neighbor, love your brother as you love yourself. These were the things. How could you have a righteous community, a peaceful community, when you have people hating each other? It's impossible to have, right? So the law would have been love your neighbor, treat your neighbor. This is why I said don't covet your neighbor's wife. Don't do all of these things you're not supposed to do, right? In order to maintain this righteous and pure society is to follow these rules that the Most High put in place. So he never tell you that, oh, love your enemy as you love what? Love your enemy. Who is your enemy? The Israelites are not enemies among themselves. So it had to be outsiders who have no part with the Israelites. And every time you have seen it, whenever Israel has been, cast out, when the Most High retrieved them, he killed their enemy. So what would be the example that the Most High is setting? He sent Israel against nation to kill them. Right? So what enemies are they talking about? So all of this is nonsense. This is why you have to read carefully when you read in the book. And most of these information were input in the book during the heights of slavery, was to let the slave, or to control the slave and let them to believe that they should love their enemy, and they should, even there's a part I believe there where say if you beat your slave, you're not supposed to beat back. All of these things were altered in the book, and for the purpose of controlling the slaves, letting them know that they were nothing, and the way the picture that they've painted during that time with the slaves, right, is to have them think that they're nothing and they were sinned, or they're cursed. They were cursed. These people were cursed. Surely that part of it was right, but not to what they tried to express or how they tried to bring that truth about. That this curse was because they went against God and then they became black. Ridiculous, right? This is the curse that they tried to say, that they weren't cursed, but it wasn't because of their complexion, right? It wasn't because of the way that they look. They were cursed because they transgressed the law, and because of that, they ended up in the hands of their enemies. That's what the curse was. So they were right when they said curse, right? But not in the context of, our pigmentation or complexion. It has nothing to do with that. But then you would understand why someone would have said that. Why the whiter person who felt inferior would have looked at the darker person and said that they are cursed. And why they would have twist the information. Why they would have twist the information around, right, and reverse the whole thing. Trying to liberate themselves while putting down the original man. All people, right? All people, right? On the planet, everything that was created. Man must know that. You must know the truth by now. People out there in this modern world should know the truth. Every single thing that was created has melanin in it. Everything. From the ants, to the bird, to the dog, to the cat, to the bees. Everything, to the plants, everything has melanin inside of it. Do you understand? As hot as the sun is, the tree could stay right there. Fresh green leaves still blowing in the wind. Not burnt or withered up by the sun. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the living beings, right? The ants would live in the desert, in the hottest place, survived. The cat outside in the weather, any weather, hot or cold, survived. All of them have melanin, especially human beings. All of them were created this dark skin that everybody start to hate and to hate. That's the standard complexion of every living thing or every living human being on the planet supposed to be that. Anybody else that is not, then you understand what happened to them. And if you want to go into the leprosy, we can talk about the leprosy, how these people come about, their origin. And this is what they're hiding from you. And believe me, there are a lot of people, Europeans and other groups, who they know exactly how they got here. They know exactly where they're coming from. But who pushed this narrative is those men who had hateful thoughts and they want to be superior and they want to have control. They change everything and lie to their own children, and there are groups of people out there to believe these nonsense. Everybody on the planet was black. None of them was white. Because within this ecosystem, right, to survive in the ecosystem where the sun is the hottest element, right, the Most High would not create someone put in an ecosystem. Look at the ants. Have you seen the ants hiding or running away from the sun? No. They embraced it. Even the walruses, all of them come out and they go in the sun and lay down and take their sun bath. All of them have melanin. Do you understand what I'm saying? They don't hide from the sun. Have you seen them wearing sweater, covering up their face because they're afraid that their skin is going to be burnt? No. People hide from the sun who don't belong in this ecosystem. You understand me? Those people have faults. That's why they're hiding. Right? This is why they cannot take the sun. And this is why the idea of global warming even comes about. Right? The idea of global warming comes about because the earth, just like it was hot before, it's going to be hot again. And when this time comes, they're trying to say that it's going to be the cause of pollution and all that. Listen, nonsense. Do you think? And this is why we know, this is why we as men who studied, the Bible and try to live a righteous life, this is why we know. This is why we know what's happening in the earth, right? Do you think the Most High, when he was creating man, that he didn't anticipate, right, that this would have happened? That he wouldn't know that, men are going to create things and it's going to pollute the world. Men cannot change this planet. The earth shall abide here forever. Generation and generation and generation of people died already leaving this place behind. The sun is going to come out and shine. The stars will do the same until when the Most High said to stop. All these things will continue. So when they tell you that pollution and all of these nonsense, man, listen, don't feed into that, that garbage. Because none of that is true. Do you understand? The earth is going to be hot again because it was hot before. So it shall come back to that time when the sun drop a little more closer to the earth. And if you are not melanated or if you don't have that, you're going to be affected by that. This is why they're worrying about when the time comes, what's going to happen to them. They're going to be dying, but they don't want to say it's because they don't have melanin, so they create other narratives around it. Well, it's not because we're white and we don't have melanin why we're dying from the sun. It's because pollution caused this. Right? So somehow pollution, right, caused some hole in this, what they call the ozone layer somewhere, right? So now there's a hole in the ozone according to them, right? This hole, where is the ozone layer again? If you ask them, it's not in New York City where it's visible, where everybody could see it, right? That if people, the common person, try to say, okay, the ozone layer, where is it? Where's the hole that they claim that is there? Right? If you as a common person have to question this, then scientists would have to explain, okay, well, how would they explain it? They can't. So the ozone layer, the hole that is in the ozone, whatever they call ozone, you know where it is? All the way in the South Pole, right? The coolest region, right? It's not here. It's not nowhere where the pollution was created. It's somewhere else far away. You get what I'm saying to you? So now the pollution or the gas from the pollution must be very intelligent, right? And these intelligent gases, right, decided, hey, guess what? Let's not stay here, right? Let's go all the way to the south. Nobody lives in the south, so nobody won't know what's happening there, right? You can't ask a question about some place. You haven't been there. Nobody lives there to see, well, yeah, this is affecting the south or the South Pole. Nobody's there, right? And that is where the hole is. And everybody today believe this nonsense. Where's the ozone? Where's the hole in the ozone? Where is it? It's not in New York City, where in these major cities where you have industrial thing happening, factories that pollution. No, it's not in China or India where you have these things. No. It's somewhere else far away, right? Where if the common person would ask a question, so where is it? You can't show him because it's in the South Pole. How do you get there? I don't know. How are you going to get there? Who's going to take you there for you to witness this hole that they're talking about? And then they're going to tell you all kind of crazy, oh, well, the whole repair itself, because it's a lie. All of it is a lie, right? The whole repair itself and all of these nonsense. So everybody live in the north, but in the south, where there's no one living, there is a hole in the ozone. So do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, something happened. How do things spiral out of control? Something happened to an individual, and instead of, this person assume responsibility and say, well, okay, this happened to me. I don't know what it is. You read in the book where these people have leprosy. Now, a black person or a person with melanin, when you lost your melanin, you become white. Your pigmentation becomes white, just like the people that you know today who call themselves European. That's what you become. That's what a black person becomes when he loses melanin. Right? Is there proof of this? Everywhere within your society, you'll see someone that slowly, they'll call it vitiligo, right? That's what they'll call it. They'll say, oh, it's vitiligo, it's a skin condition. That's how they changed the name and tell you that it is. But if you go to Genesis and read what Moses explained about what the leprosy is, you're going to see. And then you go to if you look the meaning up in the dictionary, it's the same thing. So how did it change the vitiligo again? Who changed it? Who is doing this? Right? And then they tell you that leprosy is something else, that you lose your fingers, and that sounds more like a virus. Right? Some virus that caused your finger you to lose your limbs, like what you would say, high blood sugar, something like that. That's to be some kind of virus, skin virus, that helps to, you lose they have to, dismember one of your finger or your whole hand or something like that. Like gangrene, something like that. It will be some virus like that for you. That's not the leprosy. The leprosy is when read the Bible yourself. What they're giving us as leprosy, that's not the leprosy. What they try to teach us in school about leprosy, that's not what leprosy is. But because leprosy fits who they are, they change the narrative because they're in power. So they're able to change it and say, well, this is what it is. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy to think, right? Very, very crazy to think. And this is why, my people, we have to pay attention to what's happening around us, right? This is why we have to pay attention. So they won't tell you what leprosy is. So they change the whole thing and let you have a different view on what leprosy is. Go to the universities. You're going to debate with the professors. No, that's not what it is. This is what they're lying to you, telling you what it is. But then we read the Bible and what leprosy, that's the first place. Leprosy was explained in the book. And the book explained to you what happened. It said, if a person has it, right, and it's completely covered with it. And I want to let me make sure I find the scripture, because I want you guys to get a clear understanding of it. We spoke about this before a while back, right? About the leprosy. A while back we spoke about it. And I can't show you the pictures of what it is here. And I wish I could show it to you if I could get a close up. But I'm here alone, so I can't get a close up to show you guys. But I want you guys to understand why it would change and why the people who change it would have changed it. Because the leprosy resembles who? Who does it resemble? This is why they have to change it and call it a different name. So it doesn't look too bad on them. Right? So they will tell you that it's vitiligo, but as I said, if you look up the meaning of what it is, then you'll understand, right? Oh, let me see. Let's see. I don't want to find it for you because I want to make sure. Okay, so we're not talking about the leprosy of Naaman, not Naaman, Genesis. It's Genesis, I want to make sure first so that you have it, right? The leprosy is very important, and that's what happens, as I said, to a person that is of melanated complexion. You're able to get the leprosy. You're able to get it once you have melanin, you can lose it, right? Once you have that, you could lose it. And this is what the leprosy is, a black person. I can't show you. I want to show you this picture, but I can't. It probably won't see it. Hold on. Let me try to find it in the book so I could read it for you guys. Right? Let me read it so you can have a better understanding. Right? Okay, here we go. So Leviticus 13. Right? Leviticus 13, right? And the Lord spake unto Moses, Aaron, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh, like the plague of leprosy. So now we know what the leprosy is, a plague, right? Then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his son the priest, right? And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, right? And when the hair when the hair in the skin of the flesh, when the hair in the plague is turned white, right? And the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of the flesh, it is the plague of leprosy, and the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. Right? You shall look upon him and pronounce him unclean. Now, this is Leviticus 13, verse 1 on. You can read that yourself. So when the hair in the skin becomes white, right, then that's the plague of leprosy. So it happens when you see what they call mulattoes. Those are white. Those are white children, that their leprosy happened from the womb. But the Bible says, when it completely covered you, if you have the spots, it means that you're unclean. But if it completely take you over, right? So this is not the leprosy that they try to teach you in school about fingers dismembered and thumbs dismembered. And this disease exists mostly in India, right? That's where this disease exists. The leprosy today, you'll see black people with discoloration. You're going to see them, some spots on their face, and it's slowly spreading and spreading. Something like what they said Michael Jackson had, right? And they can't cure it because you have to go to the priest. Only the Most High. Now, the Most High said, so scientists today cannot heal this because it was a trait that is given to man, right? And to reverse it, it means that you have to be communicating with the Creator himself to reverse the effect of what leprosy is, because to gain back that melanin, only the Most High can present this, and he will be working through the priests, right? Only they alone can give you this back. This is why. So if you had it and you didn't find a priest during that time to heal you, it means that you're going to be stuck with it, right? You won't be able to get rid of it. And the nation out there who comfort themselves with who they are, fine. But if you know your origin, then you'll understand what took place. How do you go back to change this? That's the whole thing. You have to go back to change it. Right? Right? And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab or a bright spot, right? Now, the fact that a bright spot is mentioned in the skin, it means that the people, that the Most High, Aaron and Moses and these members that we're talking to are all dark, melanated people, right? They should go to the priest. The Most High is telling them that's where you're going to go. There is no doctor, there is no physician that can heal you. This is why you go back to Naaman, right? You go back to Naaman, and Naaman had the leprosy, and he had to find Elijah. He went to Elijah so Elijah could heal him, right? He went to Elijah so Elijah could heal him. So these men, when they have it, they would have Miriam. When they spoke against Moses, Miriam, because Moses wanted to, marry to an Ethiopian. They didn't like it. They spoke against it. The Most High was angry with her. He took away all her melanin and turned her white. And she was kicked out of the camp because of that. And Moses had to beg for her. Now listen, the leprosy is mentioned a lot in the book. Why? Even when Moses went to Egypt, this was one of the main, right? This was one of the main, right? This was one of the main miracles that Moses took when he went to Egypt to gather the children of Israel. Right? It's supposed to turn the staff into snake, turn the river into blood. And then the third one was put his hand in his bosom and take it out. And it was white, snow. Then he put it back and he come back to his original flesh. That was the one that he said, if they don't listen to you about the snake or the river turning blood, this one they will listen to. And when he did that, all of them decided, okay, we're going to follow Moses and leave. This was the main miracle. So leprosy is a thing that rotates around the melanated people. You will see it. They will have it. It's more profound on them. When they're going through these changes, it's more profound. So you would understand why they would be able to birth a child without melanin. And they would be able to birth a child with melanin. They have the ability to go both ways because they're the original people. So you cannot give melanin if you don't have it. For instance, a European person cannot have a black baby. Can't. It's impossible. Right? And if a white person have a black baby, that means that child is a miracle. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? They cannot produce something that they don't have. You cannot give melanin if you don't have it because it's a trait. It's a part of your DNA programming. It's a part of what the Most High program within you as an individual. So therefore, do you understand? That's how it works. This is how it works. So you have to have it to give it. If you don't have it, you can't give it. How are you going to give it? So why they would change leprosy and say leprosy is something else is because what leprosy represents, it's who they are. This is why they would change the narrative. But the common person who's been learning academia from these institutions would have to go with the whatever is standardized, right, in their studies or in academia or within the society, right? So you wouldn't dare to say, well, okay, well, the people that don't have melanin are a representation of what leprosy is. But you can observe a black person with this spot change completely after a certain year, completely become white. What do you call him? What do you call him? Because if we're using a complexion based on pigmentation and saying this is white, right, then what would you call a dark-skinned person who lost their melanin? What would he be? Do you understand what I'm saying? So when they change these narratives, they're changing to suit themselves. The people, or the last group of people that came into rule, which are what you see today, right? They are changing the narratives. They're changing it. Now, of course, a person of European descent or a person who maintain and carry on the same pigmentation or traits that their ancestors carry on, of course, you would feel offended. A lot of people would, because they don't want to know the truth. This is what the Bible said, the spirit of the truth that the world will never accept. You won't accept it because it's the truth about yourself. How could you fix yourself when you don't even know your origin? How did you come about? But the lies has been taught. Europeans find a way during slavery, and because they tried to denounce the dark-skinned people, that they didn't do anything because they want to claim everything. They had to go through extreme measures and did some real hateful things and some real cruel things just to do that. In the process, trying to hide who they are. They're trying to hide who they are, right? How are you going to do that? Even as a parent, you're supposed to tell your child that, well, listen, this is what it's supposed to be. I don't know. It's not my fault. It couldn't be your fault. If you were seventh or the 100th generation that came after those before you, right? How could it be your fault if you came out white? It's not your fault. It happens. But when you look around you and observe, right, you would say, wait, but why these people are able to stay in the sun? What about me? What's wrong with me? But because your ancestors lied to you and didn't tell you what happened to you and why you became what you became, how can you fix what you became? So you live with this lie and you end up supporting this lie. You uphold this lie. And in the Most High looking at you like, wait, so these people are not going to change. They won't change. They won't try to seek the truth to change or seek, how could I get back to what my ancestors was? I want to be the same complexion like my, no, they didn't do that. They tried to make it a standard. Like, this is the standard of beauty, is this. Anything else outside is rejected. So they'll tell you that the black person is, no, nothing good about black. Everything they do, nothing is good about black, right? Black is the worst thing. Black is everything. They have to do this for them to maintain their control and their the status of power. They have to say everything else. They have to objectify everything. So this doesn't matter. It's black. It doesn't count. It's no good. So you wonder why they subjugate the whole entire Africa, or the land what they call Africa, so-called today, so that they could have all the information. They could take away and burn institution and burn everything and control the information. So they would control the narrative. Because if you're going to go back to the original people, and their history is very long, it's more history than what you would have ever in your life, or sixth generation. These people have been there for millions of years, building. Do you think it happens overnight? Do you think studying the stars happened just in 100 years? No. These people have to be studying this for thousands of years and documenting it to know what's going on out there. It just didn't happen because they say it happened. Albinoism is the same thing. Albino is white, what you would call white. White is just a title or a name depicting a certain coloration of what we say. Now, we're not talking about literal white based on the standard of what we know color is, right? But as far as pigmentation, and the reason why white was used, it was a more higher color. When you talk about the Bible, when you say, oh, she was white as snow, it wasn't actually the color of snow. It was just, it's just an expression, right? Using a word just to express what, because something was dark and it becomes something lighter. They would use the term white. Now, we can't say back then we know about purple, it read about certain things. We don't know the color that they have today. Different names were called using these different colors. All right, but we know the rainbow represent, as we have seen certain colors in it, right? Yellow, we see red. So who knows what these color, the name of these color was then, right? But we talk about ruddy, which we understood what ruddy is. Ruddy is brown, right? It's a reddish type of brown, right? So how the ancient understood color probably wasn't the same. So these people, when you go to Egypt and the hieroglyphs on the wall and these things, you see that they color themselves a certain way because that's who they were. You understand me? So an albino person, what they call an albino person, was white. An albino person back in time were called white. They weren't albino. They changed these terminologies early, right? Early terminologies where they give to these, the idea of what this is. Because when you have European people, and not all European people who believe the same thing or wanted to do the same thing, but you have men with an agenda who wanted to control and to do things differently against, and they have, even when a lot of Europeans who come into the America later on, in the heights of racism, when they came here, they didn't know what was happening here. They had no idea that racism was on such a height in the Americas, right? But because they got free land and they got benefits to come into the new land, into the new country, a new lifestyle, new living. Everything was freedom for them from oppression and other things that was happening to them in Europe. So a lot of them would come here to increase the population. And when they come here, right, had to realize that, wait, you have to be a part of this. If you're not, then you're going to get. So people that was already wicked and didn't care and didn't say, okay, well, these people don't look like me, so why should I like them? My brothers here, they gave me land, they gave me money, everything here. I'm here, having a good life here. They will follow and do whatever it was. So they would go along, with whatever was happening during that time. So they would go hunt some black people, or go lynch some black people, go do that. A lot of them didn't want to do it. A lot of white people didn't want to, but they had to do it because if they don't, then the other group gonna look at them like, okay, so you're not gonna help us out. Good evening. You're not gonna help us out. You're not gonna help us kill some of these black people. They're different from us. But so you have a lot of people who stood up. You have a lot of white people who stood up and got killed in the process, right? Defending, the Africans, right? You have a lot of them who went against their own people because they didn't like what was happening. Some of them were strong enough to do. Some of them say, I'm just going to turn the other cheek, you know what I mean? Turn my head the other way. So this happened in that time. So when they come and experience racism, some of them had to force themselves to be a part of it based on the community that they went to live in. So it become normal. It become a normal thing amongst whites who understood that the black person was nothing because this was taught to them. And because the white rule, right? The majority, white, they ruled. So who are you going to listen to? Your people are ruling, you're following everything that they do. So you find out even the young kids who was influenced by this, I was programmed with this idea, would go out and, do mischievous things, probably in a black community or to some black people, and they will get supported by their own white, counterparts. That's how it used to be. So not everybody was wickedly, involved in it. But they maintain it though, because if you're not saying nothing or doing anything, it means that you're supporting what's going on. If you're not standing up and say, I don't like this, but some of them just live comfortable. They don't want to be accused of anything. They don't want to say they are a part or not a part of it. Some of them stay silent, and this is what it is today, to this very day, right? So yes, my brother, an albino person is a white person. And as I said before, we were talking about genetics. and if we're talking about pigmentation, we're going into leprosy is the cost of the other people that you see on the planet. The other group of people that is not melanated, you understand me? Leprosy is the cost, right? Or is the cause of them. You understand me? That's how they exist. It's because of leprosy. It's nothing else. The Most High Creator who created men never created anyone of that complexion. These people came about because something happened to their ancestors, right? And their ancestors lost a very important trait about themselves. And they're the result of their ancestors' curse or sin or plague or whatever you want to call it. So that's what the leprosy is. So you have to go back, go do your own studies. I just read to you in Leviticus, right? Right? What the leprosy is. And if you look up the definition and what they changed the term and said, vitiligo, supposed to be a skin condition, and black people have this, right? There are people who have it because diminish. A lot of time, even a white person's skin becomes diminished more, but it's not profound, right? On them. It's more profound with a black person, so you're going to see it. This is why when we go back to the ancients, we're talking about the people them that were dark skinned because it was more profound. It would have stand out. They would have talked about it because it would have been right in front of them, right? And they would have seen it more. Now, it couldn't be white people with a little bit of white spot. This wouldn't be relevant. The people of the Bible are dark, melanated people. Moses, Aaron, all the great prophets that you read about, every single one of them as melanated people. The book already explained to you, so you can read about the leprosy and what it is, and how it changed and shaped these people, and why these people were prosecuted when they change and become leprous. They weren't accepted in those communities, not in the land of Africa, even today. You have albinos who they think that they are cursed. And all the neighboring countries within the era would have known this, right? That all these people are cursed and would have been afraid to be around them, think it was contagious. So many of them would have journeyed up into Europe. This is where you're going to find most of these different, group of people went there, you understand me, fleeing from persecution, right? And they would have settled there and multiply what you see today. And those people that you see today without melanin, that's the branch of those people. They have lost it and they end up in those areas. Okay. So you go back and do their studies. You study yourself. I'm just bringing the truth to you. But you could go do your due diligence. You will see for yourself. We don't need to lie here, man, on the naked truth. No lies here. We don't need to sugarcoat anything because that's just what it is. It's not your fault if you are white today and how did you become. It's not my fault because I am dark skinned. I am what you consider to be black, right? It's not my fault. Oh, it's my fault. I have nothing to do with that, right? The Most High created man this way, right? Melanated, all of them, all living things, ants, rat, cat, whoever you want to call it, the elephants, the lions, all of them have melanin in them. You understand me? Human beings, the melanin make our skin dark, right? Because it protects us from the sun. It's a part of our protection from the elements, the hottest element that exists there. So the Most High within his genius mind and within his genius consciousness are impossible to create a nation of people that's going to be affected by the main source of light, the element that's going to kill you and extinct. What would be the purpose of him creating man, right? Under the elements that's going to cause him life. See, this is why when these people lost their melanin and migrated out, they had to go to the cooler region because why? Within the region that is hot, the sun affect them. Even today in Africa, you find that the mulattoes, the white people, right, those people are born this way from the melanated people, right, without melanin. They can't take the sun either. They have to wear glasses. They have to stay out of the sun. It affects them. They can't survive. Their species won't survive. Do you understand? And how do you get the population of these people? Because they mingle back with themselves. To change it, then a black melanated person would have to mate with one of that woman, and then the children after that would have changed and then becomes, dark, melanated, or blackout, or what you want to call it, right? That's how it would change. But the parents himself or the woman, the individual themselves cannot change unless the priest. The priest is the only one who would have to give you back that, that trait that you lost. Only they can do it. Leviticus, the book tells us that they could give you back that trait. Naaman got it when he had it. When Naaman had leprosy, he went to seek out Elijah. Elijah told him what to do. He brought money. Elijah said, I don't need your money. But Elijah's servant went ahead behind his back, took the money, and because of that, when he came back, Elijah said to him, what have you done? And because of that, he said, okay, because you did this, the leprosy is going to be on you and your generation, you and your children and generation. So all of them became, and he left in front of Elijah, completely leprous. The whole entire darkness that was him, that he had completely disappeared, leave completely, and he became white. And then he left. And his family with him left because they had to leave. You couldn't stay among the melanated people because they rejected the idea of someone looking like that. They thought it was contagious. They knew it was a curse or a plague, however you want to define it as. That's what happened. So these people went up into, they have all kind of crazy stories. So the white man was created because some lab and all nonsense. Don't listen to that story, my people. These people they came out of the melanated people, right? They came out of them. You understand me? It's not no new people came about because of crossbreeding, none of this nonsense. None of that. Do you understand me? These people, merely black men, merely lost their melanin and went up into Europe, where you call Europe, going in that area where it was much colder. Everybody would have known the area to go to avoid the heat. And back in that time, it wasn't cool as, now. It was hot, extremely hot. So you would have to, for you to survive there, you couldn't. So they would have to leave, go to that area. Shalom, shalom. And, that's what happens, man. So people who are afraid, so if you're white and you're afraid to embrace the idea that, well, your parents or your great ancestors, they did something wrong. And, you are a representation of their error. Whatever they did or whatever happened to them, it's fall on you. How are you going to get back to what you were? But no, you're not seeking to get back. People are not seeking to get back. What they're seeking to do is to uphold their curse, right? To idealize their curse and say it's something good. And that's what they're doing. So there's no changing certain people. This is why the Most High said that they won't change. And even when he comes back and deliver his people, right, and begin to punish them, instead of them saying, oh, sorry, forgive me, forgive. They said they're going to curse the Most High. They're going to curse him. Instead of saying, oh, listen, I forgive. They're not going to, right? They won't. They won't assert any responsibility for their action. They won't do it. They rather die. They rather curse the Most High instead of saying they're sorry. And this is the mentality of the other nation outside. This is why the Most High separate the people that he knew that would be good to him in the very end. He said, okay, I'll take these people. The rest of them will do whatever I want. And they do whatever. They've been doing whatever. Now, you read Leviticus again, because I've read that to you before, guys, where all the things that you talk about in Leviticus, the law, and the things that were forbidding, that Israel are forbidden to do, all the other nations were kicked out, he said, doing all of those things. So they continue to do. Men sleep with men, women with women, animals, all of the things. He said, I kick them out before you, and all the nation before you. They have done all of this. And because they have done this, this is why they are out there. Their hearts already changed, and they're comfortable doing what they do. What do you think? They say there is a new found disease in East Africa. Of course, it's always a disease in Africa. Always. No, Africa been surviving for thousands and thousands of years without white interference, without European interfering in their business. But all of a sudden, all these years that Africans been living for millions of years, right? Before the Western world even come about or thought about, and they survived, right? They survived, and all of a sudden now, there's a new disease, right? There's a new disease, right? Always in Africa. It's nowhere else, right? Because they're targeting these people. They're targeting Africa and using it as a place of deterrence for people outside of Africa to think that they need to go. This has been done because their political interests, their political gain that they want. The resource of the world, a majority of the resources, 90% of the resources that you get, is from there. So you understand why they would do all kinds of crazy stuff and say, oh, well, there's a new thing in Africa. But what happened to Europe? Why they're so interested in going to Africa to do research and to do all kinds of different things? Okay. Now, they talk about the Ebola, right? Ebola. That was one of the disease one at a time, right? Now, Ebola, somehow them eat monkey. This is what they say, they eat monkey. So you're telling me for millions of years that the African been on the continent, they have never eaten monkey and had Ebola before. But just in modern time happens that, okay, we're going to say it came from a monkey. No, these diseases that they're spreading in Africa is developed in labs, right? And they're bringing it there, testing it on the people or the Africans. You understand me? They're trying to have control, because if Africa claim its resources, it means that the Western world will be crippled. They have to go through Africans to get what they want now. It won't be the same. So they create division, they create war, they create chaos within the land. They try to pay off the governments and buy out the governments, the foolish African governments who live there and taking money from bribery from Europeans, selling them and giving them things and don't care about their own people. You understand? That's what they're doing. Ain't no new disease in Africa. The disease and all the disease that you have read about in the past 60 years, all of them were developed in Western countries, and they were brought there to test on the African people. The governments in there are fools. You're right. All of these governments in Africa, I must say, in this space and this public space, they are fools. None of you have realized yet. Just because your family has been fed and you're offered a couple $1 million, you turn your back on your own family, on your own people. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going to go with all that money? And your people, the land is there. The land is there to be farmed, right? The people with talent, with talent, with talented youths are there, need to be nurtured and harvest and cultivate their talent and build your country. You do nothing. You have done anything. You become a dependent, right? You want to depend on Europe because you're looking for resources. You disappoint your ancestors. All of you disappoint your ancestors. How great your ancestors was and what they did. You make it seem that they can't do anything. You make it seem like we're unable, we're incapable of doing things. You understand? And not only Africa. I'm talking about the other countries outside of Africa that had these black leaders who have no sense whatsoever. We're not fools. You're not fools. You want the same thing that anybody else wants. But opportunity has not been given to you. It's been taken away. But they always do this. Oh, there's a new disease and it's in Africa. There's a new disease, and this is the narrative they show. They don't want people to go back to Africa. And there are a lot of people who are going back as well. A lot of people, a lot of Americans and other Caribbean people who are returning back to Africa. They're realizing, because after a while it's going to happen. And I'm telling you, after a while, these people are going to go back to Africa. They're going to realize that something is calling them back and they need to leave this place because there's nothing here good for them. And it's going to happen. You have to understand that the melanated people, the one that you fear, the one that you look at every day and think, oh my God, retribution, retribution, you know that it's going to turn. You know that the table is going to turn. Doesn't matter what you do. No matter you poison the water, you poison the food, whatever you put, create cancer cell in their body, whatever you do, you cannot get rid of them. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You can't get rid of them. You know that they're going to rule again. When their rulership come in, you are no longer, right? You'll be no longer in power or capable of ruling because these people are going to take over again. You must understand that you have your time. What you do with your time, my friend, it's up to you. But the scale will be tipped again. You know that. All of them know this. They know this. So it's coming, my brothers and sisters. The dawn, the day when the melanated people will rule again and the earth will be at peace. You understand? The earth will be at peace again. So look for that time to come. And beside the Israelites, them need to wake up. The children of the Most High need to find themselves. Take yourselves from out of the churches. Get out of these Christians institutions and find the Most High in tune with your spirituality. And get yourself together. Find yourself. Find your peace. Find your Most High, your Father, and serve Him with all your mind, your heart, and your soul, man. That's what we need to do. And get things going. Because it's important. This journey that we're going to take, it's very important. And for you people out there, you need to know who the Israelites are. Go read Deuteronomy 28 through 68. Right? And learn what the blessings and the curse is. Right? And when you do that, you'll understand your position, right? You'll understand that position. And now we're getting to the time because we kind of come in late and we stay another half an hour over. But we have another program coming up, ATO. We have some guests in the house on ATO. So you guys need to stay tuned for that. And do remember, go do your study on the leprosy and understand what it is. And understand that leprosy is when a black person lose their melanin and becomes white. That's what the leprosy is. They call it a plague in the ancient world. They call it a disease in the ancient world. But you understand what it is. If you are white today, don't be afraid, man. Yeah, don't be afraid because you're white. Just know that your ancestors slipped up, right? And because of them, you inherit their traits. And this is who you are today. But you know that you have to go back to what you was before. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So that's supposed to be the aim, is to go back to what your original state was. And I wish all of you can be honest about yourself, man, and honest about, your experiences, whatever you've gone through, or whatever you are today. I know you accept yourself. You must know this is who you are, right? What happened to you, where you're coming from, and speak the truth, right? They said it's no longer found. What is no longer found now? What is no longer found? We need to speak the truth. It's no longer found and they have vaccine for it. As you know, the plan, as I said already, is to annihilate the African population. But you can't kill off the original man because then you won't survive. If they're not here, everything falls apart. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But the greed and these people, of course, leprosy is not, but if you have to go to Vitiligo. Vitiligo is the name of how they classify what leprosy is. So they changed the name. And they claim that leprosy, they can't find a cure for it. Why? Why they can't find a cure for vitiligo or the skin condition? Because only the priest alone can heal you, right? Regular physician do not know this because the trait, you have to get back that trait and it comes from the creator himself. So you have to go through someone who have connection with the creator in order to restore you back to your original state. Scientists, whoever here, cannot do it. This is why a black person can become white. Once it starts, it just spread. They claim that they're giving you medicine to slow down the process, but the spread. Still don't stop it. It's still going to cover your body because they cannot slow down the process or stop it. You're just injecting you with nonsense. You're thinking that, it's slowing the process. It's not. Once the spot begins on you, if you don't find the priest, and believe me, my people, there is no priest here now because the Israelites, they are scattered because of the curse of Deuteronomy 28 through 68. They're no longer in power. So you won't find a priest. You won't find a prophet now. So you have to live with your leprosy if you get it now. You have to live with it. Or find the Creator himself and try call upon his name, and he'll be able to restore you back to your dark melanated self. Right? So, you get your study. Go search Vital Ego, and you read, I just get to you, Leviticus 13, verse 1 down, and you're going to get the same meaning of what leprosy is. When white hair in the skin becomes white, it means that's the plague of leprosy, right? That's what the plague of leprosy is, right? And it tells you what's going to happen. It means that your skin begin to change, right? The complexion begin to change slowly, and you lose it. And when you lose this, you no longer can resist the sunshine. The sun is going to burn your skin. If an albino is born, the same thing happens. If a black person who got leprosy, they can't stay in the sun either. The same thing like a European person can't stay in the sun. They have to wear glasses, their eyes, everything. They have this recessive, they call it recessive gene, or it's recessive. Everything becomes recessive, basically. Some people, I want to thank you again. I hope next week you guys can come in early. Shaul Shakur, big up yourself. I hope next week you can come in early where we can have a deeper conversation. Do remember that you guys can leave your comments. Yeah, you said the Hebrews of the Mona already returning people back to Africa. Well, people been migrating in small amount going back to Africa, and the Israelites. The Israelites will be regathered when the Messiah returns. So definitely, it's a pleasure talking to you guys here. And I'm looking forward to see you again next Friday. So do link up. ATO is next. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Get your thing up. Get ready to enjoy the stream. Stick around. And thank you guys very much for staying with us here on The Naked Truth. And we're definitely looking forward to see you on Friday again. And later on, stay tuned for the entertainment. We have some guests in the house. So thank you guys so much. And stay tuned and don't go anywhere. ATO is up. And do remember, share the stream on your social media, whomever you want to share it with. And the comments, press the like button and just help us to get into the algorithm. And we thank you so much again. May the Most High bless you and you're going out and you're going in. Until next Friday, we will chat with you again, and I will see you all. One love and much respect.